So yeah, Riff Raff, the guinea pig, has a great new home. Riff Raff, the guinea pig, has a great new home. So today's news, Economic Collapse blog, Michael Snyder. I think I've seen, I don't know if it's the same exact thing, but another, maybe it was Zero Hedge or Silver Doctors was kind of talking about the same thing. And I've mentioned Jim Rogers before. And look, I know everybody out there does not have an absolutely perfect track record, markets, or anything else. I mean, there's nobody out there that has a 100% perfect record. Unless you're rigging the silver market and you have 365 days of perfect trading like JP Morgan. Well, aside from that, no one has a perfect prediction of market crashes or cycles or whatever. But the guy made it where he's at because he's no dummy. And he knows a lot about the market. I should say markets. So he says, legendary investor Jim Rogers warns that the worst stock market crash in your lifetime is coming, and it should be here this year or next. If Jim Rogers is right, the worst stock market crash that any of us has ever seen is right around the corner. For the past 15 years, Rogers has been a frequent guest analyst on CNBC, Fox News, and elsewhere. And he is immensely respected for the depth of knowledge and experience that he brings to the table. So the fact that he is warning that we are about to see the worst stock market crash in any of our lifetimes is making a lot of waves in the financial community. And of course, Rogers is far from alone. Previously, I've written about several other prominent experts that are warning that a new financial crisis is imminent, and I also have discussed how a number of big investors are quietly positioning themselves to make an enormous amount of money when the market crashes. Could it be possible that all of these incredibly sharp minds could be wrong? Yeah, but I wouldn't bet on it. I was actually quite stunned when I learned that Jim Rogers had told Henry Blodgett of Business Insider during a recent interview. Rogers has built up a tremendous amount of credibility, but now he is putting that credibility on the line by warning that a great stock market crash will happen by the end of next year. And I guess the full thing is really any time from the end of this year to the end of next year. Again, remains to be seen. So he says that Rogers has built up a credibility about warning that a great stock market crash will happen by the end of next year. Here is the key portion of the interview. Blodgett asked him, well, yeah, TV ratings do seem to go up during crashes, but then they completely disappear when everyone is obliterated. So no one is hoping for that. So when is this going to happen? Rogers says, later this year or next. And he's asked, later this year or next? Yep. Write it down. There is no backing out of a stalemate like that. If Rogers is wrong, he will never hear the end of it. Subsequently, Blodgett and Rogers also discussed how severe the coming crisis would be. He asked him how big a crash would we be looking at. His answer, it's going to be the worst in your lifetime. I've had some pretty big ones in my lifetime, he said. It's going to be the biggest in my lifetime, and I'm older than you. No, it's going to be serious stuff. So that means that Rogers is convinced that the coming crisis is going to be worse than what we went through in 2008. Of course, this is something that I've been warning about for quite a while, but for Jim Rogers to make a statement like this is really a big deal. And as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, this sounds very familiar. Did I, even though this is a newer article, did I by, chance, actually this isn't, actually several days old now, but I'm thinking that, I think I kind of quoted some of what he'd already said. Maybe he must have been on another show and was quoted there, because I obviously probably going to say something different. Or, hang on. Hang on one second. All right, sorry about that. Phone, mute, not even vibrate, completely muted. But, he may be doing his rounds. You know how sometimes they do rounds, because I'm pretty sure I talked about this a few days ago. But, we have all this other data. I'll give it to you every day That saying, like I like Jim Rogers, he's got the record. Old Jason Ford is not invited on Fox News or CNBC because I'd be saying the same stuff they're saying. Certainly for the same reasons, the same data. I was just looking at Zero Hedge. I thought about maybe I should do a video, but this was so short. I was like, I'll be done in like 2 minutes. You know me, 2 minutes equals probably like 5 or 6. How there's dog years and human years. In JSNP 4 time, 2 minutes, which means about 6 minutes in your time. So again, housing starts suffer worst streak since January 2009. Permits plunge. Permits to build house plunge. For the first time, again, you got to remember whenever you hear me utter these words, since the last recession, since 2008, since 2009. When you start hearing somebody who's talking about all kinds of stuff different every day, I mean, it's all related, but there's like, oh, there's new data. Oh, here's some new data. Here's the new housing numbers. Here's the new this number. And I keep coming out here saying we haven't seen this since 2009, right? This is the thermometer gauge, right? This is a temperature gauge. Temperature, believe the government, the Federal Reserve, and the banksters, everything's fine, the economy's lovely, or this 5-alarm fire bell, alarm going off telling me there's literally a 5-alarm fire happening here. So once again, for the first time since January 2009, housing starts dropped for the third month in a row in May, drastically missing expectations, minus 5.5% versus plus 4.1%. With both March and April revised notably lower. Once again, I get so damn aggravated. I'm so sick and tired of having to come out here, give you some numbers one month. Oh, the housing wasn't great, but whatever. And then next month, ooh, double revision. Look in my eyes. JSNP for his double revision. Why? Why is every month? And notice, both March and April have been revised. Not just the last month or whatever, which in this case would have been May because we're in June. But they revised March and April. Why and how do you revise 2 months 2 months later? 2 months after these other 2 months, you had great, or I'm not going to say great data because it wasn't great. You have whatever data, and then 2 months later, not only are we revising this month, but we're revising the month before that one. What in the hell data did you get 2 months later that made you revise those 2 months? Because in my opinion, you should have never came out and said anything about those 2 months if you didn't have all the data. But in this fake economy, in this fake market, and fake government, and fake every damn thing, the fake numbers, they give you the fake numbers, and then we tell the truth later. As markets rally, now we'll tell the truth, and it won't be mainstream print like it was. Oh, today markets rally based on... Nope. It'll just be a little back page news story, little revision, double revision. Building permits also tumbled in May and massively missed expectations, minus 4.9% versus plus 1.7%. No one saw it coming. Worst streak of performance for housing starts since 2009. Hold on. Both single and multifamily starts tumbled. This is the lowest level of overall housing since September 2016. And looking forward, the picture is bad with both single and multifamily unit permits plunging. Probably a good time to rate hike some more, huh? That's what he says. That's your head. Yellen, rake, you just hiked, you said you're hiking again, right? Do a second one in a row right after the one you just did. Do a second one right after it. Great time to hike. The data is suggesting it's horrible. But you guys have to do what you have to do because you're told what to do and when to do it. And for certain reasons that we're not supposed to know about. Again, when you hike rates as a central bank, when you should be lowering rates or even leaving them untouched, and you're hiking, it's the equivalent of saying, we have a small brush fire, let's dump some gasoline on it. No, you could leave it be right? Interest rate. You can leave the brush fire be, and we could probably put that out without too much trouble at all. Or you can bring the hose over here and we'll really put it out. In other words, take the interest rates down a notch. Nope, not going to do either of those. Get the gasoline out. But your job right now, because the economy is saying so, in other words, the house on fire is saying so, I need to be put out. You're not going to put it out. More gas. Let's go, baby. That's kind of the equivalent. That's what essentially is going on here. So I'm just, you wish sometimes you could just, not sometimes, can't we have all the time just real numbers? Can you just give us the truth for once? And just tell, look, it sucks. Right? I got to be honest with you. We've been blowing smoke up your rear end so far you can't even see straight. The new numbers are going to be about as close to accurate as possible, and here's where we're at. Due to the number of welfare and food stamp, listen, we're well over 10% unemployment. And I'm going to be conservative here. We're well over 10% unemployment, like bigly, easily. 4.3 nonsense. Yeah, that was just the Fed playing games, looking at crap. The birth-death model. Birth-death model says this many people are born and this many people are died, so we can figure out somehow magically what the labor force is like and that sort of thing. Next thing we'll be hearing the birth-death model of ants. Get a little ant pile, and you'll see Janet Yellen looking in a little ant farm, and unemployment's for down to 2.9%. The ant farms we've calculated based off of how quickly they can climb up the little tunnels they've made and carry the little baby egg things down to the next one. We've determined that employment in the U.S. unemployment is down to 2.9%. I'm sorry, did you say based on an ant farm? Yeah, that's the data we look at. But what about no, we don't look at that. And for inflation, you don't look at food. No. You don't look at the cost of energy. No. Oil, gas, no, and no. So the first two top things you'd ever want to look at, period. You guys don't look at that. Again, no, we don't. I don't know where the hell this is going to end. I really don't. Are they going to string this on even longer? Is it going to be 2018 before it happens? Guys, it certainly could. It most certainly could. But you see the central banks buying these so-called assets, bonds, this market, they're pumping everything up. Trillions have been spent just in the beginning of this year, up until this point. It's been a few trillion now. So everything's on full blast. They're buying more. They're printing more. And everything sucks for everybody else more. Housing starts suck more, etc. So I'm done yapping. Like I told you, that was 2 minutes of JSNP 4 time frame, which turned into about 6 or 7 minutes. Take care.